Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the workshop. As you know, my name's Dom, and on this episode of building my sporty race bike, I was doing another little update for you. So far I've managed to get the wiring caddy sorted and the harness 98% complete. Just a couple of bits I need to do once my mud guard's on and figure out the rear light, which is just a little dinky plug-in LED. I've got all that sorted while I've been waiting on bits. Finally got bits for, well, one of the pieces for the sportster that I'm working on. So one of the other things I'm going to do today is make the aluminium catch tank for my breather system. I pre-made some of the bits for it off camera. So I've got my end caps, and I'm running -6 fitting for the feed line off all my main breathers, and then a -4 that one's going to run from my tank. Also pre-cut, let me put you down on there, pre-cut a piece of 3-inch tubing that once I've calculated out what I need, it should hold around 790 ml of fluid, which I should never need, as it is just for the breathers, so hopefully there isn't going to be a ton of oil going into it. I've also got my bottom plate done. I just need to machine up the bung that's going to go in it for the drain plug. But what I'm going to do today is get this all somewhat welded up before my gas runs out. So with all these I am using AN fittings. They are just little weld-on fittings, but everything on the bike, so all the breathers, all the oil lines, the return lines, the fuel lines are all AN fittings. One, they just look nice, and two, they function better than a push-on one. They're quicker access, so if I've got to take lines off while I'm at the track, you just undo them, job done, pull it off, stick a plug in the end of it, and then you're not leaking fluid everywhere, and you can do all the maintenance you need to, and be able to pull back on in a timely manner without having to mess about with Jubilee clips and such. But like I say, today I'm going to try and get the catch tank welded up as best as I can. I am in no means a good aluminium welder. I do not do it as often as I should. I think up until building the race bike, I think the last time I welded aluminium properly was about 2014. My main thing is stainless and mild steel, so I've not really needed to do any aluminium fabrication. But for this one, being as it's lightweight and I've got access to everything, I'm going to give it a bash. I've already done the fuel tank and the oil tank, so I might as well make the breather. And one, it cuts down on cost. I've got to spend a little bit extra time doing bits, but it means I've got bits that I've made on my own bike. So what I'm going to do is get this tacked in, and what I will preface first, actually, because I've got fingerprints on it, make sure the material is clean. Aluminium does not like to weld when it's dirty. It will not weld nicely. So, as you can see on there, the front plate of that, there's fingerprints all over it. So, just using a grey Scotch Brite, which this one is just used for aluminium. It's a fresh piece, just for doing all my aluminium bits. And it gets stored in a little baggie in my toolbox. Make sure that the weld joints are clean. I've got a bit of pen mark around here where I marked out for cutting plates. So just give it a bit of a clean out. Rub around, make sure it's nice and brightish and clean and there's no crap on it. And then we can get to welding. Yeah, that looks very reasonable. I figure out which end was which because I had it marked. That's the top side. I'll put that back in my baggie. And that keeps that clean. And the last thing you want is contamination in any of your aluminium welds, or any weld for that matter, but if you can mitigate a lot of the issues just by making sure everything's kept clean, then you're on to a winner. Let me swing that round. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I do have my foot pedal hooked up, and all I'm going to do is just quickly tack it together. Okay, evidently my gas has run out. Or it wasn't on. Everything welds a damn sight better when you get it turned on. So unfortunately now, I've blown a chunk out of that, so that is a perfect example of what not to do. Should have double checked that that was on first, so now I'll give this a clean up and I can re-weld it. Let's try that again. The thing is, with stuff like this, I'm not afraid to show my mistakes. Did burn back my tungsten, so let's sharpen that up. There we go. Right, let's try again. Hopefully this time without a mess up like that. Howdy! Ooh. Okay, we're going to get back to tacking. See if we can get this tank somewhat made before my gas runs out. Got the gas on, everything's clean and sharpened. Give it a bash. It's not 100% perfect, but as Carl Fisher says, it's 100% good enough. And grind that edge in so it's not a sharp edge. That'll be golden. I'll let that cool down a little bit, and I can weld the other side. Grind it down a little bit just to neaten up the bottom face of it, and then I'll show you guys once it's done. Okay, well, I've got my bung for the air drain machined up and tapped, so I'm just going to get that welded in now. Got all the other sides welded up. Okay, so I've got the catch tank pretty much welded out. I just need to make a set of mounts for it now, once I know the full placement on the frame. But like I say, we've got all the fittings on. I've got the dash 4 that will link up to that dash 4 on the tank, and then I've got the T-piece with the 2 connectors. One will run from the breathers, from the head breathers, which they're lined up with full new fittings on there, and then one of them will run from the transmission breather, so I'll run them over, and it's going to roughly mount, and so somewhere in there, spaced off the frame a little bit, so I'm going to make some bungs and mounts to go on there. And then I've still got plenty of clearance between the engine and the exhaust and everything for the lines. So yeah, that's a good bit of progress done on that. And as I said previously, I managed to get 90% of the wiring done on it. I've got a couple of little bits to do. I'm going to swap out the starter relay because that seems to be bad. Even though it was a new one, I don't know how old it was. It was just in a box of bits that I had. So I've got to change that out. I've also got to neaten everything up, heat shrink all the wiring. Now that I know everything works, I've got to heat shrink the wiring, tidy it up a bit, and then put all the sleeving on it. And then I've just got one more terminal to put on for the oil pressure light switch. But for now, here's what happens when I insert my key. So everything works as it should. That's my start button. Unfortunately, as I said, the relay's dead. But I have wired in the neutral light switch to the halo ring. So if I kick it into gear, that will go off. I'm back into neutral. I've got my oil pressure switch. We've got a kill switch that then does disable everything for while the bike's on. And then that little button runs a real light. Couple of bits wiring now, just tidy it up, and then I can start mounting, get light cover, get all my tabs and everything mounted for the
it just got something stuck in it and jammed up, so I have to cut that off and then once that's done, I'll figure out the brakes, sort the wheel spacing out, sprocket, and machine that down and put the studs in there, because I've got a set of press-in studs for that section of hub. So we'll be doing that. And yeah, so still a fair way to go on it, but it is getting there. It's starting to actually look like a bike again, or like a bike from... Yeah, so there is still a fair way to go, but it is starting to look like a bike. And hopefully by December I should have a fully running bike with all the bodywork done, but that's purely dependent on funds. So I'm hoping I can get everything sorted, as I have just sold the rolling chassis for my shop, so that's going to fund this project once that's all sorted, and the frames, well, the chassis with its new owner. So yeah, there's going to be plenty more updates coming, so keep an eye out. And if you've not subscribed and you like this kind of content, I know I'm not the greatest person at talking, I'm not the most entertaining, but if you find anything informative, or you'd like to just follow the build process and follow my racing progress as well, then by all means subscribe, give the videos a like, and until next time, I'll catch you all on the flip side.